Now let's look at some stunts. Specifically, stunts run by the defensive tackle and the defensive end to the right side of the Chiefs' offensive line. So the defense's left end and their left defensive tackle running stunts. This has been a problem for the Chiefs all year, and it looks to continue to be a problem until some things change with the Chiefs' line. We can talk about that in a little bit. So this is a 3rd down and 5 at the Panthers' 8-yard line. There's like 3:27 to go in the first quarter. At this stage of the game, the Chiefs are up 7-3, and they're trying to get 7 here to go up 14-3 and convert on this 3rd down. And they run a pass concept out of 12 personnel. So 1 running back, 2 tight ends gives you 12 personnel. And what they end up doing, bring Kelce in motion tight. They're going to run Gray to come sit in the front of the end zone. Kelce's going to run a whip route to the outside. Pirine is going to run over to the end. Juju's going to mirror over here, run a whip route over here. And Justin Watson is going to run out to the end. But we're looking particularly at how the line is going to handle as the end and the tackle stunt here. So first they kind of line up straight as if they're rushing straight, and then the end, if you notice, gets inside and the tackle loops around. And so this is something that teams have been doing a lot against the Chiefs, because partially they know that when Mahomes sees pressure inside, he has a tendency to try to escape outside the pocket, and he then is susceptible to somebody looping around to be ready and waiting for him there. And this is what happens on this play too. Mahomes drops back. The one critique I feel like you can have of Mahomes in this position is that as he sees pressure coming inside from here, he's got still a pretty good pocket to step up and through. If he wanted to escape like through the B gap on the left side, there's a lot less traffic over there. His eyes are over to the right though, which is he's probably looking for Kelce, which is probably why he's drifting to the right side too, and he ends up drifting right into pressure. It's well and good that he's looking for Kelce, because the way that Juju runs his whip route on the left side doesn't really help him get open. The defender's playing outside leverage. I think Juju would have been better served to come and just sit. Like the way that he comes back, he actually goes right back into his defender who's playing outside leverage. But anyway, Mahomes doesn't escape to his left through the B gap. He drifts to the right, probably because he's got eyes on Kelce. And then he finds himself in the face of a defensive tackle. From this position, Mahomes actually does a pretty good job sneaking through inside the stunting tackle and coming up the field. But again, interestingly, he's clearly looking for something. Maybe he thinks that he can get Noah Gray breaking open somewhere. He's looking downfield, and he's got Josie Jewell who's going to come up and challenge him. At this point, his best bet to go somewhere like scramble or probably extend the play is to go over to his right, because there's a 2-on-2 with defenders over here. Maybe one of those defenders, if they were to come and commit, could be helpful. But instead, he comes up the field and runs right into Josie Jewell. I wonder what, I think he's clearly looking at something downfield, but if he were to stay in that direction, he could have bought a little bit more time. In any case, he gets tackled by Jewell after just a 1-yard gain, and the Chiefs end up having to settle for a field goal. So let's look again with focus on the stunt here. So here they come. Clowney gets deep. The end loops around, and you see when Mahomes sees the pressure, he starts drifting immediately. I think he knows that of course he knows that Kelce's running that whip route, and I wonder if that's part of the reason he's trying to get out to mirror Kelce's route right here. Because Kelce does pop open on Horn right there. If this tackle's not there, this is a throw, and they probably get a first down. but Mahomes is navigating traffic. And just side note, look at Creed Humphrey get skinny real quick. Whoop. To let Mahomes go by. That's pretty good out of Creed. Just coming out, whoop, and let him go, and then Mahomes can't go anywhere. So there are a couple reasons. Well, there's one big reason why the Chiefs are struggling with these stunts, and it was brought up by Mitch Schwartz, the former Chiefs right tackle. He's talking about how Jawaan Taylor sets for the pass the same way every time, and he takes a really deep set. And what that means is you get a gap here between him and Trey Smith, where if the end comes in as the initial low guy on the stunt, Trey Smith can't get back far enough to block him. So it makes it really, really hard then for the stunt to get picked up properly. Taking this kind of deep set, it gets you susceptible to this, and there's really not much the guard can do. The only way to protect against that is to take a more shallow set so that you're aligned. So then you can kind of pass things off between each other. If one lineman is way deeper than the other, the player that he is blocking can be the initial low person on the stunt, and nobody can do anything about it. And that really makes it impossible for him to get passed off, which makes this person have to follow him in. And when the looper comes around, it's more difficult to catch him as well. So I think that is the initial problem, the kind of deep sets that Taylor keeps taking. And so the only way for this not to be a problem is for Taylor is going to have to take shallower sets to allow for the stunts to be passed off properly. But let's get into some examples from earlier this season about how, kind of displaying how frequently these stunts have been a problem. So our first example is from the Chiefs' Monday Night Football victory over the Saints earlier this year. So in this situation, the Chiefs' right side of the line has to contend with Cam Jordan on the end. And watch again how Jawaan Taylor takes this pass set. Look how deep he gets. This is how he sets when he's pass protecting. And he gets so deep that it allows for him to get beat inside. In fact, it does nothing to deter Cam Jordan from getting inside whatsoever. And what Jordan does is he literally goes and just attacks Trey Smith and just nails him there, which allows Trey Smith's guy, the end, to stunt around. And as they correctly predicted, a lot of times, and Mahomes is doing better with this as the year has gone on, but especially earlier in the year, as Mahomes sees and feels pressure to the inside, he would tend to bail to the outside. So sending this looping tackle around was perfect because Mahomes would often run himself right into that tackle's path. He was able to evade the pressure in this situation, but ultimately he was corralled for the sack. And so it's interesting here that the kind of dual problem, not only does Jawaan Taylor dropping off so much allow for a stunting end to get inside of him and behind Trey Smith so Trey Smith can't block him, it also just allows him to tee off on Trey Smith, and Taylor is doing nothing to protect against that. So it's another problem that the Chiefs get from this. Not only it allows the stunt to happen. There's no way to protect against the stunt when you're taking this deep of a set. But it also just kind of lets people tee off on Trey Smith. If you look, Cam Jordan doesn't seem to have any intention of rushing here. He's like setting a pick, essentially. And that'll be a lot harder to do if you're engaged with the right tackle. But when the right tackle is taking such a deep set, then he's free to go in there and do what he wants. And he sets the pick, essentially, to free the tackle coming around. So let's see it from the end zone view. You can see here, Taylor will drop back, and then Jordan has all the room to just come and hit Smith right there. He comes in. He's not trying to do anything other than just get in Trey Smith's way to allow the end to loop around. now Mahomes, and they actually, very nicely, the linebacker here came in, I think this is Demario Davis, came in and provided an extra curtain of pressure coming around as well. So it was a nice rush plan from the Saints, but it all started with that tackle end stunt. Now this example is from a couple weeks after that Saints game. This is against the 49ers in San Francisco, week 7. This time, again, we're looking at the right side of the Chiefs offensive line, the left side of the defense, and we're looking at Leonard Floyd, the end, who's going to come in and start off the stunt. So here we go. Again, Jawaan Taylor has such a deep pass set here that Floyd is not deterred whatsoever from going right into Trey Smith, and he just knocks him flat. And Taylor actually picks up the looping tackle, but the problem is that Trey Smith has been taken down, and so as Mahomes tries to escape through the B gap, Leonard Floyd's able to get up and take Mahomes down for the sack. So again, we'll see it here, and the genesis of it all, the start is the really deep set that Jawaan Taylor takes. He gets so deep that he's not able to deter Leonard Floyd from just taking out Trey Smith entirely. And so while he is able to come back here, Trey Smith is not able to help out with Leonard Floyd, as Floyd is able to get up and sack Mahomes. So another situation where that ET stunt, the end coming in, then the tackle coming around, caused problems for the Chiefs' offensive line. And it's the same reasoning and the same issue, that Taylor set so deep that he doesn't do anything to protect Trey Smith. And the end result is pressure on Patrick Mahomes, and in this case, another sack. Now, this example comes from the Chiefs' Week 10 game against the Broncos. Again, we're looking at the right side of the Chiefs line here. And this one looks a little bit differently because they didn't do the action that we've been seeing in the last couple times where the end kind of comes in to spike Trey Smith. This time the end just comes to occupy Taylor, and the tackle stays off of the guard and then just loops around. But again, it's a depth issue here, right? These things are impossible to pass off when one lineman gets significantly deeper than the other, because there's no way for Taylor to pass off to Trey Smith. He kind of plays at an island the way that he sets. It's hard for him to play with the guard that's over there. So Smith ends up having to try to chase Zach Allen around, and that doesn't work out. Allen ends up sacking Mahomes. So in this case, it's more the initial depth that means that the engagement occurs with the end at a depth that's too far back for Trey Smith to then accept a pass off. So here, Smith is trying to work with Allen, but they can't switch off here. There's no way to switch because of their respective depths. And there's no way Trey Smith chasing Zach Allen around is not going to work. The other thing, too, is if Jawaan Taylor isn't so deep, Trey Smith can try to come behind him. But that's also not possible the way that Taylor sets. And in this case, he's kind of getting walked back as well a little bit. So Zach Allen's able to loop all the way around and sack Mahomes here. So this tackle end stunt has been a thorn in the Chiefs' side, particularly since Jawaan Taylor's been the right tackle for this reason. So they'll have to figure some things out on that right side to help protect Mahomes in these situations and make sure that they can maintain the integrity of the pocket so he can find guys downfield, because guys are starting to get open. I think this Chiefs passing game can really take off. They're just going to have to figure out what they're going to do about the stunts on the right side.